Shot of whiskey now, please.
Okay.
Yeah, go over.
We're here at the launch of the Indigo World Music Festival in Carlow, and I'm talking to Kurt from Love Music, Hate Racism. Kurt, how are you?
I'm great, thank you very much.
Tell me firstly about Love Music, Hate Racism, and tell me about its history and how you got involved.
Its history began in the UK when it was called Rock Against Racism in the 70s, and it pretty much kicked off, the musical side of things kicked off because of Eric Clapton and David Bowie coming out and saying some very racist and fascist comments, which I won't repeat right now.
But
a couple of lads actually wrote into NME and just basically kickstarted the whole movement of calling on musicians, and not just musicians, but people of all walks of life to kind of stand up against this kind of thing. And it also had to do with the rise of political parties like the National Front, you know, who are basically just neo-Nazis and neo-fascists, you know. And so kind of a movement was born amongst musicians, and which kind of linked in with the kind of more hardcore anti-racist activists. And then you had Rock Against Racism, which was supported by bands like The Clash, and you know, it was just huge in the 70s.
And so, like, over the last few decades, you say, what impact has this movement had on society? Like, what benefit is it?
Well, I mean, bearing in mind that it only started in the Republic of Ireland last year.
Okay.
It's only 1 year old here. It's coming to the first birthday, you know. But for example, in the UK, it's had a huge impact in fighting against the kind of racist propaganda that the political parties like the BNP would be pushing. I mean, I don't know if you know, but you know, lately the last elections, just a couple of weeks or last week even, the Love Music, Hate Racism campaigners, which were actually partnered by Unite Against Fashion as well in the UK, went out to places like Barking and the campaign, and you know, I mean, what's the difference between the bus and the BNP? The bus has seats, you know what I mean? So you know, it kind of works in it.
That's
But yeah, so that's the kind of campaign it's having, and you know, that's the kind of its effect it's having. And I suppose maybe the next question that you may ask is, you know, what does that have to do with Ireland? You know, we're very lucky in this country not to have a racist or fascist or organised party. You know,
I'm not an organised party.
I'm not an organised party. You know, there are elements out there, and they're being kept at bay by people like, you know, AFA and, you know, journalists like Brian Whelan, who get on air and they bring out, you know, people like this, and they humiliate them for what they are. You know what I mean? So here it's more prevention better than cure.
And why did you get involved then? I mean, what was it? Have you grown up with this, knowing about this movement, or did somebody approach you? What happened?
Well, it was a combination. I mean, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one involved in this movement. There's quite a few people involved, you know, and everyone does it. And I just seem to end up doing interviews. You know, I got involved. I've got a background in music and promotions, and I've been around the world, and I've encountered racism in various degrees around the world.
In what respect? How do you mean?
Well, I mean, like being mixed race myself, like growing up in Cork, you know, I mean, having the accents did not necessarily mean like that I would get away with murder. You know what I mean? It was.
Or that he did.
Or that I did. But my family, we're all of different nationalities. We grew up in Cork, so you know, the first experience of racism for me was when there was a petition sent around to have our family removed from the area. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
And we're pretty much all white, like, do you know what I mean? But anyway, we're moving on. But when I travelled as well, especially, it is bizarre. But you know, there you go. You know, I wouldn't. Yeah. I moved around. I went to Spain and I went to Australia, and I basically started to see how people react to various forms of even, for example, in Spain, a lot of people blame the North Africans for robbing handbags, and then there becomes a kind of, we hate the Moroccans or we may hate the Algerians. I can see that happens, and then just like come back to Ireland, it's like, oh, we hate a certain type of people just because they're, you know, they're taking our jobs or whatever. And I just started noticing all this, and a lot of my friends were getting sucked in, and especially when I went to Australia as well, I was very, very disappointed with the amount of racism and the kind of the treatment of the indigenous people, and just the attitude towards people, like, you know, it's kind of, oh well, they don't belong here, it's our country now, mate. You know, it's just didn't make any sense. When I got back to Ireland, I noticed that there was a bit of a problem, and I was just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, and was offered to work on this project.
Okay, and so, I mean, given all your experience and seeing that firsthand, like, what are you bringing to it in Ireland? The state's in its infancy, it's its first year. What are you doing to sort of push the movement forward, and what actual physical stuff are you actually taking part in?
Right. Well, I mean, the first ideas that we had was basically we can't create a movement without letting people know that there's a movement.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So the first year is basically just trying to get the name out there and trying to encourage people to put on their own events across the country. So we had a number of successful gigs in Dublin, and from that they started off very small, and from that they, various people in Galway, Sligo, Cork have been in touch, and and they have put on successful gigs in Cork Galway and Sligo, and there's one coming up in Cork. And so the initiative is there, and in Dublin as well, in Clondalkin, another gig has come up, and it is only baby steps yet, but I mean, there's a side to racism that needs to be combated, that you need more than gigs,
sure.
Of course, and the next kind of stage with Love Music Hate Racism next year is to form a kind of a more solid anti-racism kind of a national campaign, something similar to the model that they have in the UK with United Against Fascism. So I mean, this year, I mean, it was the kind of support that we got we didn't expect,
were you ready for it when it came?
I don't think you're ever ready for it. I think it just adapts. But the kind of support that we got, and the kind of the inspiration that we were giving to people to, say, go into schools and to, take part in things like writing songs and stuff. And these are the kind of suggestions that were coming to us from young people, and we did not expect that at all. So there's a lot of potential there. It's only in its first year, We've a lot done, a lot more to do, and that's.
Where have we heard that before?
There's a lot of people working on this project,
But I think it's fantastic that you were trying to change a mindset through a creative medium, and I don't know what it is, but people who, I suppose, involved in music and literature and arts, they tend to be more susceptible to change in respect of equality and women's issues, and obviously racism as well. I mean, are you meeting any resistance anywhere, or are people just sort of falling in behind you and
resistance?
For what you're trying to do. I mean, people don't want to sometimes admit that there is a problem.
That's one of the first things that came along. I mean, the first gig that we did was one of the first gigs we did was in Chile, and I had a conversation with a gentleman outside the back having a cigarette, and he said, "There's no racism in Ireland." And and you get that, and this you can look at it two ways. Either this person, or he or she, really strongly believes that there is no racism in this country,
okay,
or B, they don't understand exactly, and it could have turned out that there is no racism in this country, and then a person holding a cup could have come up and he could have said, "Oh, we're studs," you know what I mean? So, and that's just ignorance, you know what I mean? So as regards to resistance, yeah, there is. I mean, there's a lot of people that would say that there's no racism. I mean, we're a very proud nation, and and a lot of people would hate to think that people get racially abused. But I can tell you that Igor that does a website for this festival. I mean, he and I got in trouble outside some bar because somebody walked past him and heard his accent and called him a foreign this and a foreign that. You know what I mean? So it is around. We're lucky. In this country that we haven't had the extent of what's going on in the UK. I will bring up two fire bombings that happened in Dublin, two people's houses, just because of the colour of the skin. So it's there, and I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who just want to find a way to educate people, to get rid of the rumours about, certain types of people get, taxi plates from the social welfare office. They get put first on housing list. They get
just this nonsense,
200 euros while they're on asylum seeking. I mean, it's just nonsense, and it's just the kind of rumours that you got to squash. Now, fine, putting on a gig may not do that, but it points people in the right direction.
And it brings people together as well to talk. Well, we love what you're doing, and we definitely wholeheartedly support it. So thank you for talking to us. And